The mansion stood in solemn silence, its sprawling halls echoing emptiness that only wealth could afford. Charles Whitmore, a billionaire who had built his empire from nothing, usually never came home unannounced. But today, fatigue weighed heavily on him, and a sudden impulse made him drive straight from his private jet to his palatial residence in Connecticut, craving nothing more than solitude. What he saw the moment he stepped through the front door would haunt him for the rest of his life. There, in the grand marble-floored foyer, amidst the shimmering chandeliers and priceless art, was a scene that defied reason. A young woman, wearing the simple, worn uniform of a janitor, was kneeling on the floor with 4 tiny children clinging to her in a chaotic yet tender embrace. Their faces, smeared with traces of chocolate and tears, looked up at her with pure trust and love, completely unaware of the luxurious world surrounding them. Her name was Rebecca, a woman Charles had seen countless times in passing, always busy mopping floors, tidying corridors, invisible to the world around her. Yet here she was, cradling what appeared to be quadruplets, a scene of fragility and profound human connection that made Charles's heart constrict. If you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to our channel. Rebecca's life had been a storm of misfortune. At just 28, she had endured hardships most could scarcely imagine. Abandoned by her parents in her teenage years, she had raised herself and her children alone, enduring long shifts that barely covered rent and food. Her quadruplets, Matthew, Grace, Luke, and Hannah, were miracles born too soon, requiring constant care and vigilance. Every day was a battle against exhaustion, a balancing act between survival and motherhood. And yet, she smiled, laughed, and gave her children a home full of love, even if it lacked luxury. Charles, standing in the doorway, could barely breathe. His mind raced, trying to comprehend how someone so fragile yet so strong could exist in his world unnoticed. He had amassed unimaginable wealth, wielded power over industries, and dictated the course of thousands of lives, but he had never seen courage like this. The sight of Rebecca soothing the quadruplets, rocking them gently while whispering prayers he hadn't heard in years, pierced through his armor of cynicism. The janitor looked up, startled, but not frightened. There was dignity in her gaze, a quiet defiance that Charles found utterly captivating. She didn't plead, beg, or try to hide her life, she simply existed, doing the best she could with the hand fate had dealt her. And in that moment, Charles felt a deep, unexpected connection, a realization that life's true richness wasn't measured in zeros on a bank statement, but in resilience, love, and compassion. The children tugged at Rebecca's apron, their small hands grasping at the fabric like lifelines. Matthew, the eldest at 4, had big brown eyes that mirrored his mother's determination. Grace, a lively toddler, clung to Rebecca's shoulder, her giggles punctuating the otherwise solemn room. Luke and Hannah, identical twins, held onto her legs, their tiny feet patting the floor in rhythm to her comforting hum. It was a scene that could have belonged in a storybook, yet it was painfully real, tangible, and achingly human. Charles had always believed he understood sacrifice, but he had never truly grasped it until now. Rebecca's life was a symphony of struggle and grace, played on a stage most people never noticed. He realized that her quiet heroism had been invisible, hidden in the shadows of society's indifference, just as his own wealth had shielded him from the world's raw realities. For the first time, he felt compelled not to judge, not to observe from afar, but to act. Over the next few weeks, Charles observed Rebecca's life with a careful, almost reverent curiosity. He learned that she had been juggling 3 jobs, barely able to pay rent, let alone afford childcare. He discovered that the children had never experienced a proper vacation, a new toy, or even a bedtime story outside of the whispered prayers and songs their mother created to lull them to sleep. And yet, despite the hardships, the love in that small apartment, cramped and cluttered though it was, radiated warmth stronger than any chandelier-lit mansion could ever offer. The billionaire, who had once measured his life in contracts and acquisitions, felt a pull towards something entirely different, a mission to protect, nurture, and honor this woman who embodied courage in its purest form. He approached Rebecca cautiously, aware of the delicate boundary between help and intrusion. He offered assistance, initially disguised as a casual suggestion, but she refused, proud and steadfast in her independence. Her dignity, unwavering even in the face of destitution, left him both frustrated and profoundly moved. One rainy evening, after a particularly grueling day at work, Rebecca returned home to find Charles waiting at her doorstep, holding bags of groceries, medicine for the children, and warm blankets. He spoke gently, his voice steady but earnest, explaining that he wanted to help, not out of charity, but because he had seen the remarkable mother she was, the woman who had raised 4 beautiful children against every possible obstacle. Something in his sincerity broke through the wall of pride she had built around herself. With tears in her eyes, she finally allowed him in, not as a billionaire or a stranger, but as a man who had witnessed the extraordinary life she had fought to build. Charles arranged for the children to attend the best schools in town, provided a safe and nurturing home for Rebecca and her family, and ensured that she no longer had to toil endlessly just to survive. Yet he did more than offer material wealth. He gave them the priceless gift of stability, time, and security, allowing Rebecca to focus on what mattered most, nurturing the hearts and souls of her quadruplets. Over time, Charles and Rebecca formed a bond that transcended wealth, status, and societal expectation. He learned the simple joys he had long forgotten, bedtime stories read with exaggerated voices, the laughter of children echoing through sunlit rooms, and the quiet, profound satisfaction of witnessing someone thrive purely because they were given a chance. The mansion that had once felt cold and empty now hummed with life, warmth, and love, not because of its marble floors or priceless art, but because of the family that now filled it. Rebecca never forgot her struggles, nor did she take Charles's generosity for granted. She continued to teach her children about resilience, humility, and compassion, ensuring that they grew up grounded and empathetic despite the sudden windfall of fortune. And Charles, once a man defined by ambition and numbers, discovered that true fulfillment was measured not in acquisitions but in the lives he could touch, protect, and uplift. Years later, when he reflected on the day he returned home unannounced, Charles realized it had been a turning point not just for Rebecca and her quadruplets, but for himself. He had witnessed courage in its purest form, love in its rawest state, and the transformative power of a single act of kindness. That fleeting moment in the foyer, where a janitor cradled 4 children as if they were the most precious treasures in the world, became the catalyst for a life redefined by purpose, empathy, and connection. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that acts of love and kindness can change lives, please like, comment, and share this video. Let others know that miracles happen in the most unexpected ways, and that one person's courage can ripple across the world in ways we can't imagine. Before you go, I have a special request. Take a moment to comment below and share a story of someone whose quiet heroism has inspired you. Let's celebrate the unsung heroes among us, the Rebeccas of the world, who show us the true meaning of love and perseverance every single day. In the end, Charles learned that no fortune could compare to the richness of witnessing the triumph of the human spirit. Rebecca, once invisible, now stood as a testament to what unwavering courage and endless love could achieve. And the quadruplets, Matthew, Grace, Luke, and Hannah, grew up surrounded not only by comfort but by the knowledge that life, in all its unpredictable beauty, was worth embracing with open hearts. The mansion was no longer a symbol of isolation or grandeur, but of hope, transformation, and the profound magic that unfolds when ordinary lives intersect with extraordinary acts of kindness. And somewhere, in the quiet moments when he watched Rebecca tuck the children into bed, Charles knew that the real treasure was not wealth, but the family who had reshaped his heart forever.